we have a bit of a problem. Welcome back everyone to a new installment of Minecraft 3D. We are now on beta 1.3, which means I kind of skipped over the entirety of beta 1.2. But I promise that nothing that I'm going to show you has been built in this version. It's all built in that version. So beta 1.2 is noteworthy for reintroducing coloured wool. As you can probably tell from my hotbar and my inventory, I've been making extensive use of that fact by gathering a lot of coloured wool for my own purposes. It also added sandstone, dispensers, birch and spruce trees, and lapis, which I didn't know wasn't in the game when I started playing back in alpha. So I have decided to relocate from Southport to here. This is the extremely small and entirely underwhelming house, and warehouse, and mine of what I'm calling Flatgrass Peninsula, because it is extremely flat. So flat, in fact, this 2-block wall is sufficient enough to keep it safe. And I established this as a temporary base of operations for my really big project, and that is the city of Monolith. And if I take this boat, I will bring you through the canals that will take us there. So what my vision for Monolith is I almost always build coastal cities. I don't build inland cities because I don't really know why. So I have gone through tunneling for this entire area, building bridges over it, building a lot of underground canals. I'll show you a few of those soon. And this has been the result of many, many hours of tedious work, day in and day out, because you can't really avoid the night, or you couldn't. But you can now, because we can craft beds. Beds are the #1 edition of this version. They are easily the most iconic, for better or for worse, depending on your perspective on the inclusion of beds. Personally, I think they are quite useful, but they only let you skip the night at the moment, so they don't reset your spawn point until beta 1.4. Now, if we go upstairs, you'll find we are in the somewhat barren Swag House 2.0. This is the main room. Out front there is a small porch area and a sugarcane farm back here. And if we go over to the left, there's a kitchen with 3 furnaces and one of my first real uses of coloured wool to make a nice checkered kitchen floor. There's also my completely empty back garden that I need to make use of. I have done a couple of carpets, which admittedly don't really work on above floors, but that's just kind of how it is. There's a balcony, and here is the bedroom, which will now have a bed in it. There's some stuff in here that I need to get around to using. And if we stay out here, all of these trees will be cut down soon, but this is kind of how the city functions. It is raised up from a valley that I've found, and that's how I could do this canal system without it being a total headache of having to dig everything out and constantly go further and further down. Which I think, while it has been a lot of work, will actually be one of my best decisions ever. Because if I ever need to, I can then build a railway system underneath it. Or, preferably, because I'm thinking of this now, and I will mention it because I want to gauge opinions on it, I want it to be overground, so I want to have it, like, I guess, suspended. So imagine where that church is. You see a railway coming across this way, over the farms, over those bridges, over those warehouses, over the canal. I guess it'd be easy to visualize in the future when it actually exists, but that's kind of what I'm working with as a theory at the moment. I don't want to build it unnecessarily and then have to tear it down eventually, you know? Now that out of the way, this is an unfinished building. I think this is going to be an office building, but I haven't really gotten around to that. There is also a bunch of warehouses, which have had which are a very simplified design for what I built back in Southport, because I was feeling a bit lazy. There is 2 wheat farms, a sugarcane farm, and a cactus farm. And over here are some houses that I built. If we go inside this one, you will notice this is the none of the beds here are real beds because I didn't have those, but I would argue that this is as convincing a bed as you could theoretically get in Beta 1.2. If anyone has a better design in mind, feel free to link to it, and I might consider it a future version. I don't know if I'll be redoing this world, but we will see. Functionally, all these houses are kind of samey. There's different window placements, different furniture placements. Not all of them have carpets. Which is... I should have made more carpets, I think. That's the only one with a carpet you've just seen. This is my real, actual warehouse, which has all of my coloured wool. With one exception. There's no brown wool. Brown wool, despite being added, is impossible to obtain in this version, for some reason. Cocoa beans are also unobtainable, but they exist in the game's files. You can spawn them in with MTTA editors and console commands, or it's just commands, but you can't obtain them in actual survival, which is kind of annoying. Brown wool is also unobtainable from sheep because brown sheep don't spawn yet until beta 1.4, because the rule of Minecraft is that every time there's an update, it doesn't function properly. And I really miss being able to do F5 and then F1. That's been removed. I like that feature as well. Why did they get rid of it? I can't even like double tap F5 yet. That's not until I believe release 1.0. Mojang, please fix this. Now that I've finished with that part of the city, I can move on to what has consumed a majority of my time playing this game. The fort, or as I would call it, Fort Yesteryear, because it is all built in alpha terrain. Everything you're seeing in front of you is all built on alpha terrain. There's a bit of an intersection with beta terrain, roughly, I think... Roughly where Spycast 2.0 is where the intersection between alpha and beta occurs. So everything past that is new terrain. Everything where I'm currently standing is old terrain. The most recent thing I was working on is this, the Church of the Divine Blade, which has a stained glass window, or an approximation of it, because we don't really have stained glass. I mean, we're until release 1.8, so this is close enough. I think it looks kind of cool for a first attempt. I will probably refine this as I build more. We will see. There's more bookshelves down here and an unfinished tower. I will try to finish that today. There are some barracks repping the old-style big beds. There are in small kitchens and working stations as well. There is another barracks and canteen. So this is the canteen. If we go upstairs, there's the additional barracks. There is a total of, I believe, 18 beds, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. And of course, Fort Yesteryear itself. I'm going to start with this side, which is the more recent one. This is the main hall with its checkered carpets that are blue and white. Here is the library and archives, and a small office space with a computer. We head on upstairs. There is an area we can overlook the forest. Now, you might have noticed the leaves are a bit weird. And that's because in beta 1.2, a new leaves were added. All the trees that generate in alpha now look like this. So there is a portion of trees in my world that I will try to preserve as much as humanly possible that look like this. They have 3 sets of leaves. We have birch, oak, and spruce leaves. But I don't have the saplings for any of the other trees. Those are going to get added to beta 1.5, which is not ideal because it means that both are finite and I don't really want to use them, but I might have to bite that bullet, especially with birch. I think I might be able to cope by using it sparingly. It's going to be one of those things where it's like, oh, you got birch in your house? Oh, you must be rich. And I think that's kind of an idea I have is going to be recurring going forward. So, birch trees, birch logs, and spruce logs. Those are going to be a big fancy rich person thing. Brown wool carpets, fancy rich person thing, even though they kind of look a bit terrible, let's be totally honest. You want a brown carpet in your living room? I don't think I would personally. Go upstairs. This is a largely unfinished area. This is meant to be a training yard. I will be adding scarecrows soon for target practice. This is a part of the wider growing section of the wall. Eventually, this wall will stretch over to there, and then it will probably terminate into another fort, and then eventually the cycle will begin anew. If we move across the walkway of 40 year from this area, you get a view of Monolith so far. It's called Monolith because of this massive bit of world generation that I think is really cool and made me decide I want to build a city here. There's a tower out here where we can observe the surrounding area because every good castle has multiple viewpoints. If we head down this way, there's other platforms you can get a proper view from. And another small office without a computer, but with another convenient observation area. And if we go down here, there's a hallway, a room I am yet to determine the purpose of. Down here is a kitchen. Now I thought I was ready to wrap everything up and say, oh, that's all that's been done. But there's one thing that I missed. I have been constructing ports like this for the canal system. And they are mostly underground. I'll take a screenshot of another one that I built and put it here now. Those ones are underground. This one is kind of like a open air pit. Someone I know compared it to those Bronze Age excavation sites you see. Just archaeological sites in general, which I kind of see it, honestly. But that's everything. I will make sure to finish as much as I can for the next update, which hopefully will be sooner than this one. But until then, I will see you in the next one. So, see you later.